Dom, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Really good, Rachel. How are you?
I'm really good. Really good to have you on the podcast. We are right at the beginning of the new year. We're just about to launch 2023 classes. So I wanted to take it right back with you. And what inspired you, first of all, to become a Fit Pro? Big
Um,
question.
well, funny, it kind of happened by accident. I was never really into fitness at all. Like at the time, I was doing freelance business consultancy, so I was building websites and helping people. And I met another instructor who, like, I'd started going to her classes, and I thought, like, I kind of like this, but it was all studios and bright lights, and kind of how it's always been. And this was kind of like pre-disco classes, really. And I remember saying to her, like, this would be so much better with the lights off, because I was really body conscious, and like quite big at the time as well. I remember looking in that mirror thinking, oh, I don't want to look at myself. But basically, I offered to build her a website, and she offered to train me as a fitness instructor in exchange. I never thought I'd
Ah.
do anything with it, but I gave it a go, and it was the birth of Warriors. So this all kind of fell into my lap, really.
That's incredible. Did you love at first sight with fitness? Did you love the music and the dance, and what inspired you about group fitness?
So it wasn't, believe it or not, it wasn't immediate love for me at all. It was, I just realized very quickly that I wanted to fit in, but I really didn't feel like I did. Like everyone else had these lovely little figures, and they could
Ah.
move really fast, and I'd I'd got loads of pain in my back, and yeah, I just remember thinking, I don't know, like I want to love this, but I'm in loads of pain, and I don't want to look at myself in the mirror. Because I remember going to the gym as well and trying to go to a class there, and I just walked out and went home, because I just kept feeling that no matter where I went, it was all they were already set in their group. Couldn't really find my place. And as a bigger girl, I wanted to love it so much, Rachel, but I just couldn't.
Yeah.
But I did feel straight away that there must be other people like me, and I guess that's why I've ended up where I am today.
Totally. So you did the course, you did your qualification. So then what was the catalyst to start your own classes? Because that's lots of people do the course and do the qual. But then the
Yeah.
next step is actually setting up. So did you set up on your own or did you go and work for somebody?
So I was working alongside another instructor at the time, and there was like a local room. So I went to do my class, and I think there was like 9 people in the first class. But I remember, like, before thinking, I don't want to do this. I don't know why I'm trying to do this. But one lady messaged me and said, Dom, I'm coming to your class. I feel like you're going to change the world. I'll never forget this message. It just takes that one person, doesn't it, to believe in you. And so I went and did the class, and that's when I started to fall in love with it, because I was in a dark room. Funnily enough, like the girls that had come, they weren't quite sure about fitness either. So there wasn't that group, it hadn't started yet. But I couldn't even time myself into the music. I was so nervous.
Was
Um,
you?
yeah, yeah, just like literally so nervous. But the girl next to me was really good, and I was sort of the instructor, but I was kind of following what she was doing from a timing point of view. And it sort of went on like that for a couple of weeks. And I remember having a hoodie printed that said instructor on the back, and that kind of built my confidence a bit, because I thought, oh, like I'm an instructor. And that ended really badly, because within probably 2 hours, someone took a photo of me and posted it on a spotted group saying like who would go to this person's class, because I was so
No,
large
no.
lady. Yeah, yeah. And like I can laugh now, but at the time I was absolutely devastated, because it was sort of like straight back down again. And I
Oh my
kept watching
God.
it
Is that in
go.
our area? Is that one like locals? For people
Yeah,
who are
that
listening
was
and
quite.
watching, we live literally like 2 miles away from each other, which is incredible, mad.
No, I love
So,
that.
was it in our area then?
Yeah, it was the local spotted. Yeah, it was the local
No.
spotted, yeah. So obviously someone tagged me in it. They were like, Dom, I think this is you. And I just kept looking at it, and it was just going more comments. But what I started to notice really quickly is that none of those comments were negative. None. So
Oh.
like, everyone was like, go girl, like, wow, that's amazing. Whoever's posted this, check yourself. And like I was like, oh, okay, yep, something's happening here. So I just waited a couple of days, and I just posted underneath. I put, this is me in this picture. If I can do it, anyone can. And I
Oh.
turned up to that class on the following Thursday, and there was like 30 people queuing to get in.
So that person thought they were throwing shade on you, and totally, and then it just completely set your
Yeah,
business alight.
literally, like, but from that moment, it's never stopped. It's just,
Wow.
those people who felt that they were going to get treated how I did realized that there was then a place for them to actually try and get fit and look at, and learning about things that hadn't been accessible to them before.
Incredible, incredible. So where did the idea for Warriors come? How did Warriors be born?
So in the same class again, I remember I'd started sort of making noises. When we were squatting, I'd be like, "Ah," and I didn't know why, because it was originally called Thermo Vibe Fitness. Um, and then this one day I just shouted, "Shout like a warrior." And it sounds so cheesy, and it is massively cheesy when I look at it. But something happened in that moment. And I remember thinking, warriors. Oh, and I thought, yeah, something, we're all fighting for something in this room. And on that same day, I went home onto my social media and I basically said I was changing the name, everything, because I felt like this was actually Warriors, not Thermo Vibe Fitness. And it just, honestly, Rachel, it's just been wildfire from the moment that all of that happened. It's never stopped. I mean, we're 8 years in now, like 50,000 people, that lives have been touched by Warriors in various countries. It's just crazy. I still don't know
It's
how it's happened.
incredible. Congratulations. It's an
Thank
amazing
you.
story. So you left that original venue studio and you found another venue in the town. And
Yeah,
and that's when you really put the stamp on Warriors and you expanded the timetable. So you went
yeah.
from one class a week. How quickly did it expand? How many classes were you offering? And how did that whole experience take shape?
So because I obviously started with no money at all, I started the whole company with £30 tax credits that I had. And I remember the rent of the room, and I got a speaker that I could pay bit by bit. I'd got a baby in a little car carrier with me. But my number one rule was, until one class had sold out, I didn't open another one. So I would focus completely on that one class which sold out, and then I opened another one. So by the time I got to the Genesis Centre, we were opening with like 11 sold out classes a week, which were back to back. So obviously I took on quite a lot at the time. And I
Yeah,
think
wow.
that's where, if I could have changed anything, I wouldn't have done so many so quickly, just because I think that, you want to keep who you are and your quality, and it can get diluted if you do too much too quickly.
Yeah, definitely. And what kind of classes were you teaching? What was the routine like? What was the format?
So at the time, it was mainly combat, to be honest with you.
Oh, okay.
I really found myself just in combat, and Warriors was all very like, "Urgh," and
Yeah.
no real dancing. But as time moved on, that basically became combat, dance, step. Wanted to do everything right up to now. We now use pom poms, which if you'd asked me 4 years ago if the Warriors were pom poms, I would never have believed it. But yeah, every kind of fitness that you can think of, we try to access that, even aqua, to help people in the water who might not be as able on land. So we try to make sure there's something for everyone.
So who is your typical Warriors person who comes to class? Who are they? Who is that person?
So like 3 years ago, it would have been a lady who got low confidence, perhaps, a little bit larger, maybe escaping domestic violence. That's like a huge thing for us. But today at Warriors, it could be anyone. We've got men, young boys, young girls, ladies in their 70s. It could be anybody now. But originally, that those doors, those floodgates, were the people who just didn't feel welcome in the gym. And I think that as times change, what I've realised is that men are under as much pressure from a body point of view as women are. They have to be muscly, and they have to have a small waist and big shoulders, and a lot of people don't talk about that because we're constantly talking about women, which obviously need a lot of talking about. But nowadays, it could be anyone. It could be a child that's, we have children that are coming in with their carers, which is important to me because I was a young carer. So, and I understand what those teenagers are going through. So honestly, Rachel, it could be anyone at this point. I don't know who's coming next.
So it's completely evolved. And really, you were, I mean, we've seen a lot of press over the last few years about body positivity and inclusive, and the fitness industry has, to a degree, only a small degree, I would say, it has tried to be more inclusive. But you were way ahead of that. You were calling that out on social media way before anybody else in your advertising, your marketing, your posts, and I suppose that drew your huge audience, didn't it?
Yeah, I think that the way that I went about it was more like in a campaign kind of way.
Mm.
I never really thought of the business. I was because it was happening to me, Rachel. Every time I went out, someone had something to say.
Shit.
But then when I was going into London and I was filming in California and various places, their arguments were getting less and less because I was doing more than the people that they expected to do. And for me, this was so important for other women who were watching and listening to see that if I could do it, then so could they. So yeah, it was non-stop. I would say anything to anyone, and I think I'm still the same now, really. But you're right. I think that it is small, but it's definitely getting bigger. I mean, if you look at most instructors now, we're seeing a representation of real
Yeah.
women that have got kids or busy lives or whatever it is, and anyone can be a fitness instructor. Whereas probably 15 years ago, it would have been a lot harder to break into.
Yeah, absolutely. You are prolific marketeer. Prolific. You are, I mean, your social media is relentless. You pour it all out on there. There's everything from, and I think you are, from how I know you, you are very authentic on social. And if you're having a bad day, a down day, you
Yeah,
are not afraid to share that with social and your clients.
yeah.
It's a big part of Warriors, I think, put in, and I love to see that you are really put so many of the pictures, the group pictures. I mean, you know, you're in a few of groups that we're in with Fit Pros. Not all Fit Pros are quite nervous about putting their clients on and their class, but Warriors are out there. They're behind you. They're following you to Fit Camp. They're really
Yeah.
cheering you on, and they're in the pictures. They're in the videos. They really feel part of something, don't they?
They do, and it really is a family situation for them. And for me, image therapy is everything, and we talk about that a lot with them. So we don't just shove cameras in their faces, but we do say to them, here's a big thing. You're going to have a photograph taken, and it is sometimes they are like this, and we have to be careful because obviously, like I say, with Warriors, we do have vulnerable participants who
Yeah,
um, cannot be photographed. And I would say to any instructor to just kind of always think about that, especially when you've got the vulnerable kind of members of the
yeah.
community coming. But yeah, they love it. And sometimes we're out doing tug of wars and on fields, and we do public demos, and our aim is to that we don't know who's in that crowd, but maybe it's a woman who's going through domestic violence, which we've had a lot of, or maybe somebody who just hasn't got the confidence to join a fitness club,
Mm.
whether that's running or a walking club. Years ago, I really thought that everything had to be, big and strong and tough. But you know what? Now, when I'm flinging them pom poms around, I feel amazing. So, really, it's just about getting out the house and getting people to be back in group activity because some people haven't done it since school.
Yeah, that's very true. And even at school, they maybe did very little as well. So
Yeah.
that's just, I mean, awesome. Where do you think then the fitness industry potentially has perhaps not been able to service some of the clients that come to you now? Why do you think the fitness industry maybe has fell down a little bit?
I think that the problem is Instagram. If I'm totally honest with you, this is what I'll say to anyone: is that we're working really, really hard to get everyday people to do fitness, and I know you say the same thing. Is that to start fitness, you just need to move. You just need to move, and that's it. But then there's so much confusion out there with what to do and where to start, and by the time you finish, you've got Christmas, then it's January. You spend £50 on a pair of trainers, leggings, get all the stuff, and then you still can't walk into the gym because there hasn't been someone to help you get through that door.
Mm.
And I would encourage anyone else that listens to this. We've got a buddy system. So we have a buddy system, which sounds crazy, but I believe it's the magic behind what happens. So the warriors themselves would have a top that say buddy, and some people are even met in the car park and literally have someone to chat to
Oh,
on the way in before papers, health forms, or anything like that. Because some people are just coming for someone to talk to. Some people just come and watch. and
Oh,
graduate.
do they?
Yeah, they graduate. And we always think Warriors is like the in-between. So you've got the people that are scared to death of the industry. There's the industry, and Warriors is that open door.
Yeah.
When they leave and go and join the gym or go and start running marathons, we're buzzing. We absolutely love it. We love to see them progress into whatever it is that they do. Some stay forever and some, graduate through the process. But regarding the industry, I think that people say things but they don't do things, so they're
Mm.
saying the right things on social media, but when people get to the class, that's not happening. And we talk about this a lot with our team, is that if we're saying there's someone on reception or there is someone there to hold your hand through that door, there needs to be somebody there, because if they have been following for a long time, they walk in and everyone's already doing a routine.
Mm.
It's a nightmare for that
Yeah.
person. So yeah, I think that's the thing. And at the end of the day, it is the fitness industry, and it's like myself. I've lost 6 stone during my journey. I've had
Wow.
skin removal, all sorts, but that happens as a byproduct. I didn't have to focus on it all the time. So if they just focus on making friends, getting out the house, and having fun, I honestly believe that the benefits just come.
Absolutely. Now, because you head up such a huge community of women locally and internationally, um, you're a busy mom. You've got 3 children. You've got a husband. You've got an immaculate house that we're all jealous about. We're looking in the background, seeing how neat and tidy those cushions are. That's the first thing. Every time I see you on social media, I think, oh my gosh, how can she have kids? They are like, the house is unreal. It's a lot of pressure. People want a piece of you. They know you. They think they know you very intimately because they see you 3 or 4 times a week. They see you online. People build a relationship up with you, and it can be very draining. It can be very tiring. How do you manage your energy with so many people that want a piece of Dom? How do you deal with it?
I mean, that's probably the hardest part of it. That, and it's always an awkward one to touch on, because I understand how important that relationship is to those individual people. For years, I didn't get it right. For years, I just didn't get it right, and it did lead to a lot of codependency, toxic relationships, and that I now would say to any instructor that's listening to this, number one word, boundaries. And they have to be there, and that's supportive to yourself and to the participant, because 1 minute someone's very, very lonely, and then all of a sudden they've got this really amazing,
Mm.
supportive, positive situation happening. And it's just so important that you keep that positive, because by letting people in too much, sometimes you can't give back what they actually need, because relationships can get very confusing when somebody has spent a long time isolated, is what I would say. I've got ADHD, so I have plenty of energy to give. Like, I don't really have days when I don't have energy, but like you said earlier, I do have days that it really gets me down, and I do get quite overwhelmed with it. The reason that I do get overwhelmed with it is, for example, we have seen suicide at Warriors, and we have seen lives taken from illnesses, and sometimes I feel like I didn't do enough. So that's the pressure of wanting to always be online and never miss that message, because we do get a lot of messages that have nothing to do with fitness. So
Yeah.
it is a really hard balance, but I literally live for what I do, and I love it. So it kind of just happens.
It
But
is.
boundaries,
Yeah.
number one.
Boundaries. It's hard, and I think you do learn the hard way, don't you? You do
Yeah,
have, and you mature, and yeah, it is hard because you build up such strong relationships with people. It's very teaching fitness is very personal. People have amazing transformations in so many different ways, mentally and physically, and
yeah,
often you, as the instructor, are the catalyst for those transformations. So, yeah, it's a difficult one. I don't think there's the right everything. Every relationship is slightly different, isn't it? With
yeah,
people, and it is hard. You're right, boundaries, but you have family life,
yeah,
and it's important to put boundaries around that, especially with time. Time's the hardest thing, isn't it? It's
yeah,
giving everybody the time. That's the
yeah.
hard thing.
It is. I mean, I've started turning my phone off now, which is
No
something.
way.
Yeah. Like, and I actually sleep when I do it, but then it's the anxiety of turning the phone back on, and having to
And then I
try
go,
and deal with it all. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. 100% boundaries. That's the only way forward. from a longevity point of view. Otherwise, you just burn out, and I've done that plenty of times.
Yeah, and it never ends well. It
No,
never
it
ends
really
well,
doesn't.
does it?
There's never enough.
It never. So the future for Warriors, where do you see it going? Not just in 2023, but beyond 2023.
So obviously we've trained our own instructors. I didn't find much passion in that, to be honest with you. We went through that journey, but for me, I kind of want to train people in community leadership rather than a fitness concept. So that's something that I'm concentrating a lot, is how to help people find those little pots of funding, how to help local families to access any fitness, any activity. But I've also started Pocket Gym now, which is $3.99, and anyone can do it online, so they can just do those fitness classes. And I know you were talking about that on Business Academy, and I totally related to everything that you were saying, and I do follow everything you say, to be honest with that. But I've took my price right down to make it accessible, and the reason that's working is because it's accessible and it's
Yeah.
affordable. So you don't really lose anything by putting in that lower price, because you have a bigger amount of people that are coming through. So when I look at the future, I would never say that we'll be totally digital, because we won't be, because I need to be in the community. But the more people that can access Warriors, even if it means only online, that's something that's really important to me, to just get into as many mindsets as possible.
Yeah, and change more and more lives. Yeah, because obviously there's always a glass ceiling when it's face to face, and it's only local or when you're traveling, isn't it? It's
Exactly.
and so many people now do access online. After COVID, online is so much more accessible. It's so easy for people,
Yeah.
and you can still build. And I'm sure you've built an amazing community still with your online members. How do
Yeah.
you service them? Are they in a group? How do you look after them?
So they subscribe, and it gives them instant access to the video. So they download that like an app on their phone. So at
Okay.
any point they can just go in and choose a class. And there's anything from seated to madness. Even Joe, my husband, he's an instructor, so they can have 15 minutes with Joe. It's always a laughing point.
Is Joe on? I didn't know Joe was on there.
Yeah, Joe's on as well, and some of the instructors. So there's specialist stuff, but then there's like me messing around. Sometimes I've even got a beard on, or I'm doing a beach party or something fun that the kids can join in with. And then they get, those get added every week, so they've always got fresh content. But then we've opened up the hub as well, where they can have a chat with each other, because that's kind of the community base there, is that for those mums who haven't got childcare, or those ladies or gentlemen, whoever, that are still not ready to come out, because after COVID there's so much agoraphobia at the moment, that this is kind of like step one of starting to rebuild relationships, physical activity, and then hopefully we'll be able to start getting them out the house. Yeah, fingers crossed.
And tell me about, now I've got to get this right. Tell me about the Farmily.
Family, yeah.
Tell me about I was looking at something yesterday, and I saw you'd got there. I'm a celebrity, get me out of here, with your face on it. And I was thinking, gosh, what's the Farmily? Tell me about Farmily.
So Farmily was happened by accident. Basically, again, lockdown happened, and I thought, what can I do here? The news was constantly talking about weight gain, and I thought, this is not going to end well, because one, we're all going to put weight on, two, we're all going to feel really rubbish. So with my creative brain being the way it is, I started to think, how can I distract? Because Warriors is all about distraction. Everything I've ever done is distracting them from the reality. So my followers don't want to know about macronutrients or phytonutrients. They don't want to know these words. They just want results. So I basically made an online game where you get dropped into a farm with no money, and the only way that you can eat is to harvest the land. So to pick it, grow it, or farm it, as in the livestock. And then there's a farm shop. So with the farm shop, everything has a price in cardio minutes. So anything extra that they want, they had to burn those minutes off to buy that extra. And I trialed it, and they lost 380 stone as a team.
Wow. Oh my
Yeah.
God, that's crazy.
So it got backed by the National Lottery, and it worked really well through lockdown. but they have to work as a team, because a lot of people that would do Farmily would openly admit to you that they struggle to stay on a plan. So what we always say is, if you can't do it for yourself, do it for the team, because behind the scenes, what they don't know is that I'm carb cycling them as well. So if they don't hit their goals, then the potatoes are rotten or something disastrous will happen on the farm, and they can't access that food. So it's a bit like Farmville and I'm a Celeb, but the nutrition version.
I love it. And did you make it as an app? How is it delivered? Did you do it as an app?
I do it all through WhatsApp and Facebook with that one.
Okay.
So because it's the easiest way for them to continue that communication. So at the moment, it's ideal to be on social media for that one, because that is all about them working as a team. So they have levels of harvesters, farmers,
Oh,
and then
wow.
yeah, it's like an online game.
I love it. And is there a certain amount of people? Is like a cohort? You have a, or is
Yeah,
it?
I try not to have more than 30 on a farm. So what we've been talking about with the team now is that our instructors will be running individual farms, so that
Yeah.
it's too overwhelming. When we did the lottery funded one, we had like 110 people on the farm, and it was just too much, because
Right.
they have to photograph their food to get points. So we know when a meal's missing, and we know why they haven't photographed it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
in order to give them a proper service, there really needs to be one harvester with 30 farmers. So
Wow,
that's
what a great
kind of cool.
idea. An amazing one. So are you going to expand Farmily, or are you going to keep it
So
as is?
I think the idea for Farmily is to package that up for other instructors to be able to put it out there, because like I say, participants, a lot of them, they don't want to be adding macros. They don't understand it. I don't, to be honest with you. I hate the idea of it, but I know how to put it into a fun way. So all
Yeah.
they have to think is it from the harvest? Is it from the shop? How much have I got to burn to get that? And it just increases that want of physical activity.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So you're going to develop Farmily. I keep wanting to say
Yeah.
Farmville. You want to develop that. You are, and two further instructors. You're
Yeah.
online. You're just going to keep growing that. How do you envisage growing the online membership, the Pocket Gym?
So for Pocket Gym, it's just like what we've noticed already. So we've had 100 sign-ups this week already. So we've noticed that, you know how it is when you've got friends. If you're doing something you like, you kind of talk about it. And what's happening is, for every person that's signed up, they're probably like dragging 3 or 4 friends with them. And the good thing is, they're setting little challenges between themselves. So, for me, I think the most important thing, and I've always said this from previous jobs that I've had, is it's okay getting subscribers, but it's keeping them.
Keeping them.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's where the real work is. So just by
Yeah, it
putting
is.
in those challenges, and they can win awards, and we're going to be sending out hampers and things to the people who have done the most throughout the week. So, fingers crossed, it's just going to be a case. To be honest with you, we're going to go onto TikTok, because
Yeah.
TikTok is just a catalyst. I mean, I went live on there the other day, and in 20 seconds, like 1,000 people watching who are not even
Yeah.
my friends. So you can sell subscriptions through TikTok. So we're just going to venture out totally digitally.
Good. Awesome. And your predictions for social media. So you've mentioned TikTok. So is that where you're going to put your time, energy for that project, or just across the board?
I mean, I'm definitely venturing more towards TikTok now, just because of all the algorithms with everything else. Whereas with TikTok, you can fall into a pool of anything very quickly, and everyone says fall down a TikTok hole. I mean, there's one girl I've been watching. She started doing Just Dance on TikTok like a couple of weeks ago, and she has something like 300,000 followers in that time who
Yeah.
just watch her do Just Dance. So I mean, that's just an example. But if you were giving actual information as an instructor, and you were helping people to join in live, that's where that kind of online gaming thing comes in, is that once they're hooked, they don't want to miss you. So then you pull your lives, and your subscription becomes available. And
Yeah.
that's my advice to anyone else, really. I think that when it comes to social media, still imagery is completely over. People want video.
Yeah, they definitely do want video. And so you're putting quite a lot of time into TikTok now, but you're still doing a lot on Facebook, Instagram. Do you do much?
I'm a bit rubbish on Instagram. I don't know what it is with me and Instagram. We're like toxic ex-partners. Like, I'm just constantly watching what it's doing, but never really being involved. Facebook's like my life. But because you know what it's like, they've cut off my friends list now. So I have 2 accounts, and I can't manage them. So I don't know
Yeah.
why they do this. I know people can follow, but then I can't see what they're doing. And yeah, that's my only downfall with Facebook. And obviously, we never know what's happening with the algorithm with Facebook. It's
No,
changing
it's just
every day.
crazy. It is crazy. Yeah, it is. It's hard to know, but like you say, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, there's just so much
Yeah,
to go at. It's a constant, it's like feeding an animal, isn't it? All of
yeah,
them. You just need constant, I've had a meeting with Lauren, who my PA today, and we're saying we have to get more content, more content.
content. Yeah,
And
that's what
it's
we said.
a lot.
Yeah, our meeting as so far has just been double C, constant
Yeah.
content. And when you're posting on Facebook, you have to be ruthless because I've watched my Facebook, like 20 people delete me, 20 people add me, 20, and I think, and I don't mind, because if somebody doesn't want to see my content, they really don't need me on social media.
Yeah, agree.
Whereas other people do need me on social media and they do depend on that content. So I'm just not fazed by that at all. I know a lot
No.
of people, that's where they're scared to post. Am I doing too much? Well, there's never too much.
Oh,
There's never too much.
totally. Never. I totally agree. And lastly, something that I spoke to I think, supporter group, I said the other day that I thought this was wonderful. I think this week you've got an open day, or
Yeah,
looks like you're doing a talk. And tell me about that day, because it looks phenomenal. So you're
thank
having
you.
like a launch party, really. It's a New Year
Yeah,
launch party. It's local. It's a face-to-face class, a face-to-face event. Tell us a little bit about it, because it's a great tip for any instructors that work in the community to have an event, a launch
definitely.
event.
We've done it every year, and it's always worked fantastically. So basically, they get about 20 minutes of every single class. So they come, they bring their packed lunch. Like when you go to a fitness convention, it runs.
Yeah.
They get to try everything. So then we eat together on the social at the end, and then I do a motivational talk, which is all about manifestation, goal setting. There's a cinema screen behind me, so we play dramatic music and a film for them to see, and we do touch on things that are really crucial for that brain pattern when it comes to gratitude, because if you don't have gratitude, you don't really have anything, because you never really hit a goal. And I just think when you've accomplished something, you have to stop and congratulate yourself, because otherwise you didn't get there. You're just going to the next thing all the time. And so we do a lot of brain training at that time. And I truly believe that's why our January to April season is so successful, because they're not just being fed lose weight, lose weight. They're remembering how short life is and how much they love their family and how important their health is, rather than their dress size, you know?
Fantastic.
So yeah, it works
Fantastic.
really well. We love it.
It does. Dom, where can everybody find you if they're not following you already, which I'm sure they are, but where are you? Where can they go and find a bit of your Dom magic?
So mainly Facebook. So either Dominique Parlatt on Facebook, or we've got Warriors Fitness with Dominique Parlatt, where we're heading a lot of stuff now. Instagram or TikTok. I've finally put my name the same on everything.
What are you? I was looking for you on TikTok. So are you the same on TikTok? I'll have
Yeah,
to add
Dominique
you.
Parlatt. I've had so many different names all over everything, but everything is Dominique Parlatt now.
Because you've got your maiden name on some things, haven't you? You got
Yeah,
maiden
on
name and then
Instagram.
married name.
Yeah, do you know what that was all about? It was because Joe's a police officer. I just didn't know what to do following rules years ago, but now none of that matters. So it's definitely Parlatt.
Right. Good. Now we know. Dom, thank you so much tonight for
Thanks,
your
Rachel.
time.
It's
I
so
really
nice to
appreciate
meet you.
it. Really good.
Thank you.